Political Chatter. In this video, we will be talking about my very first 2024 United States House of Representatives predictions. Last year, before the midterms, I only made House predictions, my first House prediction, a few months before Election Day. But this time around, I am doing it almost 2 years before the actual election. And don't get me wrong here, so many of these are going to be wrong, right? Plus we have redistricting. I think redistricting is every 2 years. Excuse me if I'm wrong, if they do it like every 5 years or 10 years or something. But there's not even an exact map if there's redistricting. But this video is just a general idea of how the districts are going to go in 2024. So we have our districts that we really know are going to go to Republican. It doesn't necessarily mean that they will be a safe margin of 15% or higher margin. It could be a likely margin. For an example, like Nevada's 1st district right here won't quite be a safe margin. It will be a likely margin. However, we generally do know that it will go to the Democrats, and that we really don't need to talk about it all that much. Looking at the win of that seat in 2022, we have our margins here. And then we have 198 Republican seats, 177, and then 60 competitive seats. So we will be talking about all of these 60 competitive seats. And I will mind you, this is 2024, so this is held coherent with a presidential election. That will play a huge part in the Senate elections, in the gubernatorial elections, and arguably most importantly in the House elections, because I really think that, say, independent voters in California will see Trump on the ballot and be encouraged more to vote for the Democrats. And I do believe that Democrats will be strongly advantaged in these 2024 House elections, because I do believe that Donald Trump will be the Republican nominee for president. And I do think that will bring down Republicans on a House level, on a congressional level, even if these candidates don't really have a strong connection with Trump. That being said, let's get started. 218 seats are needed for House control. That will be the majority. Republicans need to win that. Republicans would need to win 20 of the 60 competitive seats. Only 20. Only 1/3 of them. So you can see how Republicans are clearly favored to win the House in 2024. Looking at these competitive seats, there probably should be a few more competitive seats while I'm looking at it. But Democrats would need let me see, would need like 35 of the 60 competitive seats. Does that even make sense? Would it be like 40? I don't know. But you get the idea. Republicans are favored. So, but of course Democrats could still win. So let's start going from west to east with the state of Washington. So first we have, what district is it? Number 8. Kim Schreier, we have the incumbent. This one really isn't all that competitive. It did go to Kim Schreier by about 8% in 2022. I'm thinking it goes to her by the same margin in a presidential year with Donald Trump on the ballot. And then about a month ago, I thought it came out today that he announced, but apparently it was a month ago. Someone pointed it out in my comments. Joe Kent is running for House again in the 3rd district. Now, in 2022, Jamie Herrera Beutler, the Republican, was running for re-election in her primary, and she lost to Joe Kent because she had voted to impeach Donald Trump when, the impeachment hearings were going on. Joe Kent defeated her, a Trump-backed Republican, defeated her in that primary. And even though this is a safe Republican district, Joe Kent lost the congressional election here in Washington's 3rd to Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez. Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez was sworn in as as a congresswoman. She won by just 0.8%. Now, Gluesenkamp-Perez is a popular representative. However, Herrera Beutler would have won. Okay, that is undeniable. She had won previous years, and Joe Kent was just an awful candidate. And it shows you the weakness of Donald Trump in this day and age. He is an extremely weak presidential candidate. You know, at this point. So, I do have a take that I do have a prediction that Jamie Herrera Buehler comes back in 2024 and runs against Joe Kent in the primary and defeats Joe Kent in the primary and comes back and wins against Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez. However, that is just like a strong prediction of mine, and it probably won't happen. So at this point, if we're looking at all these candidates, Gluesenkamp-Perez probably wins by a tilt margin once again, less than 1%. And then going down to Oregon, we don't really need to talk about what district is it? The 6th district all that much. Andrea Salinas won by 3. I think that it will be a lean margin again for, if not likely, probably likely, actually, I'll switch it to likely because it is a presidential election. And I do believe that House Democrats will do better in 2024 than they did in 2022. And then we have the highly competitive 5th district. Lori Chavez DeRemer won this race in 2022. Jamie McLeod Skinner ousted Kurt Schrader, the incumbent, in the Democratic primary. Ended up losing that race. That's why you don't primary incumbents. Lost by a lean margin. I'm saying in the presidential election, this is a flip for the Democrats. And I think that they win it by a tilt margin. I say that they flip this seat because I don't think that Lori Chavez DeRemer is all that popular. And I think that the divided Democratic Party, because it was such a close primary, I think that is what led to Lori Chavez DeRemer winning. I don't think that she would have done that well without it. It really split that Democratic Party and did not unify the Democratic Party in this congressional district. So I think that that's a flip for the Democrats. And we already have 2 tilt races, and I do believe that there will be one more. In Montana's 1st congressional district, a pretty new congressional district. I believe it was established in 2022 due to the 2020 census, and Montana gaining a lot of population. Now, no one really expected Montana's 1st to be so close in 2022. Ryan Zink, but Ryan Zink, the now congressman from Montana's House District, won by only 3%. Okay, 8,000 votes. That's not good for Montana. And he did this poorly, I should say, in what was supposed to be a red wave year. But looking at 2024, we have 2 things that would benefit the Democrats here even more. Donald Trump will likely be on the ballot, number 1, and Trump did not do that well in Montana, mind you. And Jon Tester, the Senate candidate, will be on the ballot. He is a Democrat running for re-election. He will most certainly carry Montana's 1st district. He will not win re-election. I do believe that he will win re-election, but he will not win re-election without Montana's 1st. And he will come pretty close, relatively close at least, to winning Montana's 2nd. So Jon Tester will help the Democrats in this congressional district. Will it be enough? I don't think so. This one will be one of the most competitive districts in the country. Definitely one to keep your eye on. Going down to California. Let's start in the Los Angeles area. So, first we have Mike Levin's district. Never mind. Where is Mike Levin's district? Oh, okay, there it is. There's Mike Levin's district. He won by only 5% in 2022. Sorry, I have to update my map here. I had 2 districts messed up. Alright, so this is Mike Levin's district. He won by 5%. I think he's going to do just as well. I think that this is a likely margin win for Mike Levin. I think that he's a pretty strong candidate. And then we have the district right next to it, which is the 47th district. We have Katie Porter here, who won re-election this year by about 3%. However, this is a great opportunity for Republicans to pick up the seat. One of the few opportunities that they have to pick up a seat, because Katie Porter is retiring to run for U.S. Senate. So if there is not a strong Democrat who will take her spot, who will be able to win this election, I think that Republicans could win this. Is it likely? Probably not. I think that Democrats are favored here at this point, probably a lean margin. And then we have the 3 Republican Vietnamese districts. Sorry, 2 Vietnamese districts, one not so much. This is Ken Calvert's district, the 41st. He won by 5. Probably narrows up to a lean margin, but probably not much after that. And then right next to it, we have Young Kim's district. She won by, what was it, 5 in 2022. She probably hangs on. I mean, if we're looking at it, the Vietnamese voter bloc in these 2 districts, I should have explained it more. There's a huge Vietnamese population, and both of these districts have Vietnamese women in Congress. Young Kim and Michelle Steele. Okay, and really, it's not really going to matter who's on the ballot like Donald Trump. This Vietnamese voting bloc will keep voting for Michelle Steele and Young Kim for as long as it takes. I think both go to them by a lean margin. And then we have the 21st District of California, Mike Garcia's district. Now, I have a pretty hot take on this one. I think that Democrats flipped this one to a tilt margin. I mean, I don't know, keep clicking on all these other things. It's annoying. But Mike Garcia won by like 8 in 2022. Okay? It's a very wide margin, and I know it sounds insane that I think it will go to the Democrats, but first of all, more insane things have happened. But more so, Christy Smith will not be the nominee, okay? If she is, that will blow my mind. She is a perennial candidate at this point. She keeps running, and losing. She is an extremely poor candidate. Plus, 2024 is a presidential election year. These independents in the 27th district, sorry, I said 21st, I meant 27th. I think that they are going to vote Democrat for a Democrat other than Christy Smith, and that they very narrowly pick up that seat. And then we have, who is this? Let me quiz myself. I know this is John Duarte. And then, is this Ken Calvert? No, we did Ken Calvert, right? David Valadao. He won by 3 in 2022. He probably hangs on, okay? Even with, by tilt margin, this one will be close. It was very close. It was, 3 points in 22. But, even with Garcia's district, flipping, I think that Valadao is a pretty strong incumbent. I see him as a pretty popular incumbent who wins his race once again. Then we have John Duarte up here. He won by only 0.4 in 22. He only won by 500 votes. We don't talk about that election enough, that it was decided by 500 votes. This one that I see Democrats being able to flip, I think that they flip it by a lean margin, especially California, with Trump being on the ballot, that will affect the California races a lot more than really any other state. Very liberal state, very anti-Trump state. I think that will help Democrats significantly here. What district is this? The 3rd district, not all that competitive, but probably a lean margin for the Republicans. And then we have 2 districts that are competitive in Nevada. Susie Lee won by 4 in 22. Stephen Horsford won by about 5 in 22. So I think that both will hang on. And then, this one won't be, I'll make it a likely margin just for the heck of it. But as I used in my example, certainly will not be safe. That's Dina Titus's seat. I'm saying a lean margin for both of those candidates. And then we have Colorado, where we have that one district, the suburbs of Denver. This was a new district created after the 2020 census, and Democrats won this seat. I guess you could call it a pickup. But with that incumbency factor, if they had an incumbent in 2022, I think that they would have done better than they did, but they still won the district. So 2024, with this incumbency factor, I'm thinking Democrats hang on to it by a lean margin. And then we have the infamous 3rd district. Lauren Boebert is the incumbent here. She won by only 500 votes in 2022. Many recounts here. But probably won't be that close in 2024. Looking at it, I mean, really, even if Adam Frisch wins again, he's not going to make it all that close, as he is already a failed candidate, and that, but at least his recognition would be up at least a little. But I'm thinking Lauren Boebert hangs on. Then we have Alaska. I think that Peltola hangs on by a likely margin. She won by a pretty good margin in 2022, 10%. Would you look at that in the final round? I think that Mary Peltola wins pretty handily, and I think that Mary Peltola will be pretty long time representative, maybe senator. I think that she has a bright future ahead of her. All right, then we have Juan Kiscomani's district, District 6, Houston Angel, whatever, was the incumbent here. This was a flip for Republicans. He only won by 1.4%. I'm thinking Kiscomani hangs on just because he is a pretty popular incumbent and he was able to flip that seat. And he's not going to be too closely associated with Donald Trump. I'm thinking probably a lean margin win for Kiscomani, and Republicans keep that seat. Then we have David Schweikert's seat. This one's tough. I was not expecting this one to be anywhere close to as close as it was in 22. I thought it would be, I believe I had it as a likely margin district for Schweikert in my final predictions. But he only ended up winning by 0.8%. That was a big shock to me. And looking at 2024, with Arizona shifting to the left dramatically, this is probably a pickup for Democrats. I think that they pick up Arizona's first. New Mexico's, what is this, the second, third? Second. Democrats picked up this seat. Yvette Herrell was the incumbent, and she lost by only 0.7%. Very narrow win here. A victory for the Democrats by only 1,300 votes. I mean, in a presidential year, as I said, Democrats will do better generally across the country. They will probably hold on to that seat. That's what I'm thinking. Now Henry Queller, how do I say it? Kalar's district. It's going to be likely, but it's pretty much on lockdown. Looking at his victory, he had a huge victory in 2022, way bigger than I expected. I thought it would be like a tilt or a lean margin for him. It was a 13-point win for him, so that one's really going to go to the Democrats. But really, we have two districts in Texas that are competitive. Monica De La Cruz won by 7% in 2022. And honestly, I don't think that this will narrow up all that much. If we're looking at it, this is not one where Donald Trump being on the ballot is heavily going to affect it. She's a new representative. I think that she probably hangs on by just about 5%, almost a lean margin. Then Democrats were able, the 34th district was redistricted together. Mayra Flores and Vincent Gonzalez were both incumbents, but Gonzalez won by 8%. Another likely margin win for Democrats. I don't think that one's all too much competitive. But Mayra Flores was in and out. All right, looking at Kansas's first, second, third. Sharice Davids won by a very good margin, 12% in 2022. That was a big win for Democrats here. They really needed this. I think that she hangs on by a likely margin. Her margin in 2022 was insane. 2024 will be only better. And then, looking at the second district, I think that Democrats flip this one. I think that this is one where in 2024, Biden and Trump will be on the ballot, and of course, Nebraska and Maine split their electoral votes based on congressional districts. And with voters deciding who their district will go for on the presidential level, they will vote for Biden, certainly. And I think that that's going to boost Democratic support for the Democratic congressional candidate. I have Republicans flipping this one. That might be a hot take to some. And then we have Iowa. I mean, the first and second districts are competitive, I guess you could say, 9% and 9%. But really, they're safe. It's the third district that we need to look at. Zach Nunn defeated Cindy Axne, the incumbent, by only 0.7% in 22. This one's going to be so tough, and it's still either way. But Iowa is a pretty Republican state nowadays, and Trump being on the ballot will certainly not affect Zach Nunn because Trump is popular in Iowa. I think Zach Nunn wins another term in Congress. definitely a tilt margin. Alright, and then just one competitive district in Minnesota, that being the 2nd District. Angie Craig hangs on. She won by 5. She probably wins by a likely margin once again. And then Republicans were able to flip the 3rd District because Ron Kind retired. That was a 3-point win. I thought it would be a likely win for the Republicans there, but it was only a lean win. I really don't see it going anywhere, especially with a new Republican incumbent. That's a lean margin win for Republicans there. In Illinois, Nikki Budzinski, I think, hangs on by probably a likely margin if we're looking at a margin of victory. Wow. Oh my God, I did not know it was 13%. Make that safe. Make that safe. Wow. That is insane. And then we have, but because Nikki Budzinski is popular, but in the 17th District, Eric Sorensen won by 4%. I don't think it's going to shift too much to the left. That's a lean margin win for them there. In Michigan, quite a few. You guys know how I love Michigan because of its competitive congressional districts. John James might run for Senate. Probably not. He only won by 0.5 in 22. That really surprised me. I thought that he would win probably by a likely margin. I was thinking it was a good margin win for John James. But now as an incumbent, I think he actually expands that margin of victory to a lean margin. But that is an opportunity for Democrats to pick up a seat. I think that they could very well win that one. That one is probably going to be very close. The 3rd District, it went to the Democrats by 12. Probably a likely margin. And then we have the 7th District, Elisa Slotkin, who won by 5%. I did not expect that. And then in the 8th District, we have Dan Kildee, who won by 11%. Both those races really shocked me when they won. Just that margin of victory. In fact, I didn't think that Lisa Slotkin would hang on. I was that much off in that race. I say they both hang on by a likely margin, saying that Michigan will vote in favor of Joe Biden. In the 1st Congressional District of Indiana, Frank Mervyn won by 5. That's a likely margin. And then looking at Ohio, Marcy Kaptur hangs on by a likely margin, probably a 7-point win. This one probably narrows up just because Jared Majewski was just an awful candidate. Won't be 7, shouldn't have said that, but probably by like 10 or something. And then this one's competitive. The 13th District, Amelia Sykes won by 5%. I thought that Josiah Gilbert would win, but that really shocked me. And then Greg Landsman in the 1st District, unseated. I forget his first name, but someone, Chevitt. That was a likely margin win for him there. That was a big shocker. And then that's a likely margin win for Sykes also in Ohio. So a lot of likely margin wins for Dems in Ohio. Looking at Florida, only 2 really competitive districts. First, we have a Republican in the 13th District, Anna Luna. What was her name? Anna Luna. She won by 8%. With Florida shifting so much to the right, honestly, probably a likely margin win again. And then we have that Center District. This went to the Democrats by 7. Probably stays a likely margin if I'm being honest. Probably won't shift all that much to the right. North Carolina, 2 competitive districts. This one really, Democrats did well, and Don Davis won by 5. North Carolina will be a lot closer than it was in 2024 on the presidential level than the Senate level in 2022. So I think that that's a likely margin win for Don Davis. He wins another term in Congress. And then Wiley Nickel, and isn't it Wiley Hickel? But I might just be thinking of Bo Hines as opponent. That was a 3-point win there. Honestly, probably becomes a likely margin win. Again, now we have an incumbent. Voters are more familiar with that candidate. And then we have Jen Kiggins. This one I'm unsure of. Democrats could flip this one. But honestly, probably stays tilt Republican, if we're being honest. I mean, Jen Kiggins is newly elected. You usually don't vote out newly elected congresspeople right away. So Jen Kiggins will probably hang on in 2024. And then Abigail Spanberger wins by a likely margin. Not much of a surprise there. And then David Cherone hung on by a wide margin. Yeah, he won by 9 in 22. Probably going to be somewhere on that same margin. That was a very solid win for Democrats there. And then we have Chris Deluzio as the new congressperson for the 14th district, I want to say. It is the 17th district. He won by, I thought that this would be a tilt Democrat race. It was a 9-point Democrat race. You can just see how much Democrats outperformed in the 2022 House elections. Chris Deluzio hangs on by a likely margin. Now we have this big jumble of yellow. Let's start in Pennsylvania. We have 2 districts here. Both Susan Wild and Matt Cartwright both were reelected. As I predicted, Susan Wild was a bit narrower than Matt Cartwright. I was pretty spot on those 2 districts, which actually surprised me. Wait, no, I thought Susan Wild would lose. Never mind. I was not. But I was spot on in Cartwright's district. Susan Wild probably is still a lean margin, but Matt Cartwright at this point is a likely margin. I mean, he is very popular, especially in a swing district. Then in New Jersey, Tom Keene won by 3. He ousted Tom Malinowski. I see Tom Keene hanging on by a lean margin. I think that he holds on to a seat there. And you can see how much more narrower this became. It's now 213 for the Republicans, 212 for the Democrats. So it really depends on these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 remaining races. Unless I forgot any states, no. So, wow, this will be very, very close in 2024. So let's start in Long Island. So, let me just get the district number for you. District 3 of New York. It's interesting. This is George Santos's district, as you may know. It really depends on whether or not Santos is removed from office. But really, either way, I think the Democrats are kind of favored to pick up this district. Maybe Tom Suozzi makes a political comeback. He would definitely win. But at this point, I'm thinking that Democrats are narrowly favored. I think that Democrats could pick up New York's 3rd. And then the district below that, the 4th district, Anthony D'Esposito won by 3% in 2022. This one's tough. And 2024, Kathy Hochul will still be in office. She'll probably still be unpopular. So I'm thinking D'Esposito wins by a tilt margin. And we're back. Republicans with a net lead of 1. And then we have the district that, so this one flipped Republican in 2022. Sean Maloney, who had a very high position in the Democratic House caucus, lost to Michael Lawyer by a margin of 0.6%. So do Democrats take this back? I don't think that Kathy Hochul's unpopularity will have as bad of an effect as it did on Democrats in 2024 as it did in 2022. I don't think she will be as unpopular as she is right now. Because of that, it really is tough, but I think that with the national environment, with it being a presidential election, I'm thinking that Democrats pick up this one by a tilt margin, less than 1%. And then we have the 7. Oh, wait, what? Okay, I got my districts messed up. Okay, so it appears I have confused the 16th district with the 17th district. And this is a good thing for Democrats because they gain a seat in my prediction. So that's actually a safe Democrat seat. Sorry. And then this is Michael Lawyer's district. He wins. Democrats flip down by a tilt margin. Sorry for that slight error there. And then we have the 18th district with Pat Ryan. He won by a tilt margin in 2022. He's a very good candidate electorally, and I think that he expands his win to a lean margin. And then we have Pat Ryan's former district, but now the 19th district. Mark Molinaro won by 1.6%. What am I thinking here? I'm thinking that Republicans keep this seat. I think that Pat Ryan really made this district so much more Democrat than it initially was. I think with him, not being remembered there as much as he did switch districts at this point 2 years ago, I think that won't have as large as an effect as it did in 2022. And I think that Republicans will hold on to that seat by just a tilt margin, but very close districts in New York once again. Look, the Connecticut's 5th district was one of the closest House races in 2022. And in 2024, so in 2020, Jahana Hayes, the incumbent, who won again in 2022 by a tilt margin, won by like 9 in 2020 in a presidential year. I'm thinking it's a likely margin for Jahana Hayes. Plus, the Republican George Logan was an extremely good candidate. He was more of a moderate Republican. I saw his ads. I live right near the 5th district here. I could actually tell you where I live. It's an odd spot because you can see on congressional maps. I live in this square right there, somewhere about right here. Part of that square. I'm part of the 1st district. But since I'm so close, I always get ads, and his ads were very good. So I don't think that really any Republican will do that well as George Logan did. Democrats really outperformed in the 1st and 2nd districts of New Hampshire, and I think that it's a likely margin looking at their victory in 2022. It was both very good wins for them, and Democrats have House majority. They flip the majority in the House, and Democrats win House majority. Jared Golden won by 9 in 2022. He wins by a likely margin once again. So I do believe that Democrats will win House control in 2022. 2024, sorry, so used to saying 2022. Bum, bum, bum. And here's my my current map. Democrats, 220 House seats. Republicans, 215. Once again, House majority is extremely slim. And Hakeem Jeffries becomes Speaker of the House of Representatives. So, thank you all for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed. But yeah, so thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.